Hey gamers, so I want to talk about an idea that I have been thinking about doing for a little bit now, but it really got put into the forefront, I guess, when Microsoft announced that Game Pass will be increasing prices with Ultimate going up to $30 a month, and how I don't know if I want to keep my Xbox anymore. So yeah, let's just get right into the video. First of all, let me give some context in case you don't know. I've had an Xbox Series S, the black model, which is the 1 TB one, for about 2 years now. I got it around July of 2023, and I liked it. I really wanted all the consoles finally, because I was always just a Nintendo fan. I documented my struggles and me getting the console along with the PS5 on the channel. If you guys are curious, I did unboxings, I did live streams where I test out the games, and especially with the Xbox, my brother also wanted it, specifically because it could play Roblox, and it was the only console that could play Roblox, at least at the time. So yeah, it made sense for us to get it. But I always preferred the PS5 in multiple different ways. I prefer the controller, I prefer the console look, the infrastructure, like dashboard or whatever. But of course, the thing I cared about the most was the games, because PlayStation had games that I was really wanting to play for like a while now. Stuff like The Last of Us, the Spider-Man games, and it had great third-party games, basically all of them. And I really wanted that. I was always envious of PlayStation as a Nintendo fan. I wanted stuff like Battlefront 2. That's not a PlayStation exclusive, but you get it. It's on PlayStation, and of course the other ones I mentioned. Xbox really didn't have that. The only thing I was like kind of envious over was the Game Pass, but even then, as I played through both consoles, I was like, PS Plus is actually better than Game Pass, and I still stand by that opinion, especially now with the price increases. But even minus the price increases, I thought the PlayStation Plus was a better value, at least in the long run. Game Pass might be better in the short term, for like new day one stuff consistently, while PlayStation barely got any, but it still had some, like some indies here and there, or like some smaller titles like Lost Records, So yeah, I was kind of, for like a little bit, I was happy with my Xbox, but then as I started to play more of my PlayStation, of course, continue playing with my Switch, I was like, I'm not really using the Xbox that much, especially because, I don't really care about the first party quote-unquote exclusive games on the console. There's like no exclusive games, but like there was, console exclusive, at least at the time. They were available on PC, but I don't have a PC, so there was that. Of course, now there's no console exclusive. Microsoft is going all like third-party games anywhere, so that was at least something at the time, but they weren't true exclusives. But anyway, I didn't really care about them. Like Gears of War, I played it like 3 times throughout like a couple of years, the first hour, and I liked it, but I didn't really get into it, and there was Halo, which my first experience was awful with that game. I couldn't figure out how to use like some buttons, controls. Eventually I figured it out, and I was able to progress, but I still was like, like it's fine, I guess. And then like that's basically it for the Microsoft first party quote unquote exclusive games on the console. Like I didn't really care about them. And other games that I liked, specifically that were in Game Pass, are available elsewhere, Like, I was really happy to see Persona 3 Reload on Game Pass. I played it through there, and it was really cool to have the DLC available for free as well. But again, it's not available exclusively there, and the game can go on sale. And then there's other Microsoft games that are like Minecraft, which I'm not really a big Minecraft guy. I really want to get into it, but I don't know. My brother used to be into it, but Minecraft is available on everything. So I've started to become less and less like, do I really need this? And I've had a few moments over the past like 2 years or whatever that I'm like, should I sell this, so I could get back some money and like buy other things, because I had to sell like my entire Switch One collection, to afford a PlayStation and an Xbox. So like I've been trying to like re-get some of that Switch One collection back, and I'm like, maybe I could do that if I sell the Xbox, but I still kept it. But ever since, bad news after bad news has been hitting Microsoft over the past like year, really, with the layoffs, with canceling games like The Perfect Dark, remake, and of course, raising prices for their console twice, and Game Pass, it kind of feels like it's the straw that broke the camel's back for me, because ever since the Game Pass news, I have been really, really, wondering, should I sell my Xbox? Now, to be fair, I think I'm leaning towards no, I shouldn't, because I have bought in a few games on Xbox. I do use it mostly for Game Pass, but I have bought in a few games. Nothing like really, that expensive. On PlayStation, I have bought in a couple of like games that are like $50 or more, and I enjoyed it, and I'm glad I did get them. Stuff like Spider-Man 2, stuff like Astrobot, Metaphor. With Xbox, I haven't really bought in any bigger games. The like highest costing game I bought on Xbox was like a $10 game on sale, which was the Pac-Man Museum Plus. But the other ones are like, I don't know, less than $5, $3, $4. And most of it is just DLC for Vampire Survivors or Brotato, which is the gameplay you're seeing right now. And Brotato is on Game Pass along with Vampire Survivors, and that's really cool. But those games are also really cheap and available elsewhere. And specifically with Vampire Survivors, there's a cross-save thing. So I'm like, like I would have to rebuy like the game again and like the DLC, but like all of that is like what, $10, and yeah, like I don't know, like I have bought in a few stuff, but it's nothing too substantial, And another thing to consider with the Xbox, selling it, is the trade-in value at GameStop. I know people say, oh, why don't you sell it online or blah, blah, blah. GameStop is just easier to sell it to, and also my mom is very stubborn, so that's like the easiest way we can take it. And this is actually one of the few good things about the price increases with Microsoft, because with that, GameStop has increased the price for the trade-in value for the Xbox Series S and X. Now, I was looking for the longest time, I didn't realize. I was looking at the original white model Xbox Series S trade-in value, and that was like $240 something dollars. Although I saw like today that it dropped to $220. I don't know what that's about. But I found the listing for the 1 terabyte, black Xbox Series S, and that says it's $275 as of right now, so yeah, that's pretty big money, especially considering, I bought it for $350. I would be basically losing like less than $100, I think that's pretty good. And I was like wondering, like, I could use that money for stuff like I want to re-get Breath of the Wild, on the Switch 2. Like I could use the Nintendo vouchers while they're still available, because those are going away, and maybe get, I don't know, either Pokemon Legends ZA that is coming up soon. I think it's already going to be out by the time you see this video. I could also get the Kirby and the Forgotten Land or 3D World, like basically get 2 games. I could get an SD card. I could buy like the Switch 2 versions of specifically whatever game I choose, like besides Breath of the Wild, because Breath of the Wild's, Switch 2 edition is included for free in the expansion pack, so maybe I could buy the Switch 2 edition for Kirby and the Forgotten Land, save a bit of money there with the Nintendo vouchers and the $20 edition thing. I could buy like maybe Mario Galaxy 2, because I really want to replay that, because I never got 100% in that game. I have gotten for Mario Galaxy 1, although I don't think I've gotten it with Luigi, but that's just like the same thing. But overall, there's a lot of stuff I could do with that money, especially with the SD card. That's like the main thing I'm looking at, because it's like $60, for a 256 gigabyte one. And I really need the space for on the Switch 2. I want to have all those Xenoblade games downloaded, ready to go. I don't want to have to think about, hey, I need to download this, but I have to get rid of this, save a bit of space, I want to have also Persona 4, Golden downloaded on my Switch. I don't have it right now. It takes up like 9 gigabytes, so there's a lot I could do with that money. But I'm just like wondering, should I do that? Because with the Xbox, again, I don't really have that much games, that I bought on there, but there are still some games, and some particular games that I really enjoyed on there are Vampire Survivors and Brotato. Those are the games I have the most playtime in, and you know, I'm really happy with them. But again, I could get them elsewhere, especially with Vampire Survivors. I could transfer over the data, you know. But there's also another thing to consider, and that is my brother. Because like I mentioned before, my brother wanted an Xbox, you know, for Roblox, although eventually, you know, Roblox came over to PlayStation. Wonder if it's coming out to Switch or Switch 2 at some point. Anyway, I have tried to approach my brother. By the way, he's like gonna be 14 soon. So yeah, he's my younger brother. I'm gonna be 21. Oh my god. But my brother is like very, I don't know, he's kind of stubborn and kind of angsty. I guess that's a teenager's way, but like he was even like that before a teenager. But anyway, when I approached the subject with him, he's always like, no, let's not sell it. No, no, no. You know, and the thing is, he doesn't really use the Xbox, you know, at all. He doesn't really use any of my consoles. Technically it's our consoles, you know, but he really doesn't. Like every once in a while maybe he does it, he uses it, and even then it's either for GTA or Roblox, and that's basically it. He has tested out some other games here and there on the PlayStation and Xbox, but most of the time it's just those two games. And yeah, I kind of want to sell it, but at the same time I want to keep it, you know. But it's not really up to me, it's up to my brother, you know. And I could convince him, you know, I have convinced him of things before, but it's just like a thing to consider, you know. And honestly, I'm just really torn on what I should do. Again, I'm leaning towards keeping it just because of the games that I have bought on that console. And it is just really nice to have all three consoles finally, you know. I've been envious of PlayStation. Xbox, I've never really been envious besides kind of Game Pass. But I had experience with it at my cousin's house with the Xbox 360, you know. And I thought it was kind of cool back then. I played like Call of Duty, one of them. So yeah, it's just kind of cool to have all the consoles and have access to all the games, you know. Technically there's no exclusives on Xbox, especially nowadays with, you know, like Gear of War coming over to PlayStation. Probably Halo will come over too, along with the Switch 2 version, but I digress. Still, you know, it's nice to have the option to play a bunch of different games on their home console for the first time, you know. But at the same time, you know, I don't really have, you know, a lot of money, you know. That's another thing to consider, you know. So I'm not going to be able to buy or play all the games available on every single console. So I'm really torn, you know. For right now, I'm going to say I'm going to keep it, especially because, you know, with the Game Pass stuff, you could still find cards. You know, some retailers have said, and it makes sense, they have printed out like $20 Xbox Game Pass cards for like a while now. So you know, you could find it for a couple months, you know. But maybe once those cards run up and you have to pay like the $30 at you know, retail for Game Pass, maybe that's when I'll sell it. I don't know, man. It's really a tough thing to consider. I'm not sure what to do, at least right now, but I'm leaning towards keeping it just for, you know, Vampire Survivors and Brotato, you know, and the other games I have bought it, you know, even if it's not a lot. Like, if I was considering selling my PlayStation, I have considered selling it before my PlayStation, actually, but that was only because of the insane credit you can get at GameStop. It was like almost like $400 or something, $370, $380 or something. That was crazy, but I didn't really consider it because of like, oh, I don't really play it that much, or oh, I don't really have any games on there, you know. That's not why I was considering it. It was because of the money. Well, with Xbox, it is because of the money and because of the fact that I don't really play compared to my PlayStation and Switch 2, you know. And I don't know, man. But let me know what you guys think about this. Should I sell my Xbox? Have you sold your Xbox if you have one? I've seen a lot of people sell it and move over to PlayStation because of all these bad decisions Microsoft keeps making. Even though I already have a PlayStation, but you know, I could get some stuff for my Switch too. You know, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. But if you enjoyed this video, guys, be sure to like, subscribe, play some Xenoblade, and I'll catch you all next time for more. Peace. Bye, everyone.